paragraph B of the Anti-Corruption Act number 12 of 2008 is amended. The centerpiece of Mr. Fofana's argument with respect to these counts is the fact that neither Fairfield Construction nor its president and managing member, Mr. Jules Sanders Davis, ever at any point in time complained of mismanagement of funds or portions of funds due and owing to them, which itself in Exhibit AN 1 to 2 to have received well over $4 million out of the contract sum of $5,295,555 United States dollars. The said exhibit stated that the invoice sum of $4,669,549.45 United States dollars followed a verified audit, and that the balance owing to Fairfield Construction as at 21st of April 2021 was $626,000 United States dollars and 5 cents. Exhibit AN 1 to 2 is a letter from Fairfield Construction, which was signed and endorsed by Jules Sanders Davis as president. He argued that Fairfield and Mr. Jules Sanders Davis' only complaint was against the government of Sierra Leone for failing to fund the completion of the building in a timely manner and rushing to criminally indict them for doing so, and in fact for doing far more than was expected. Both as to interpretation and performance, and shall be subject to the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court of the State of New York, County of New York. It is significant to note that the first accused, supported by the third and the fifth accused persons, at all material times kept the line ministry, that is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, fully informed about the activities, programs, and projects in New York during the period under review, inclusive of the management of all funds meant for the reconstruction works at the Chancery Building. And in that respect, he relied upon Exhibit AAW 1 to 5, which was a report, as it were, to Capital, dated the 19th of February 2019, and Exhibit AAX 1 to 12 of the 29th of April 2019, Exhibit AAY 1 to 4 dated 11th of July 2019, Exhibit AAA 1 to 3 dated 20th of August 2020, and Exhibit AAZ 1 to 7 dated the 29th of April 2019. It therefore relied upon excerpts of minutes of meetings held on the 22nd of May 2020, which is exhibited as Exhibit AAM 1 to 5, and excerpts also of further meetings held on the 1st of June 2020 in Exhibit AAN 1 to 2 at pages 1 and 2. He argued that since June 2020 or thereabout to date, the evidence available to the court is that the necessary outstanding funds required for Fairfield to complete the Chancery Building in New York so that it could be opened for official use had not been made available to the company, in spite of the said company's out-of-pocket expenses. Besides, according to Exhibit AAZ 3 to 6, Fairfield had on the 2nd of March 2020, shortly before the above meetings were held, given a comprehensive summary of work on the Chancery project from its inception in December 2016 to the 2nd of March 2020. The company also projected what would be done in April and May of 2020 if the required outstanding budgeted funds were available to them to finish the said project. Mr. Fofana further argued the two technical reports on the Chancery Building project submitted by PW2 Mr. Paul Bokari, namely Exhibit AK 1 to 46, which is characterized as the first technical report that was submitted in October 2019, and Exhibit AK 1 to 46, the second technical report submitted in August 2021, contained the following facts, which showed much progress in the rehabilitation work done by the contractor, even against the myriad of funding delays and challenges it periodically faced at the hands of the state, as well as the huge unbudgeted extra cost the contractor had incurred in the demolition exercise, hiring and replacing unpaid staff, insurance matters, and the unforeseen COVID-19 challenges, and also the incidental stop work orders issued by the New York Building Department in respect of the rehabilitation works. He relied upon excerpts from Exhibit AK 1 to 46, which is the first technical report done in October 2019, and excerpts from the second technical report of the 4th of August 2021. He argued that none of the sums of money listed in the count charges under this rubric could be attributed to willful or negligent failure on the part of the first, third, and the fifth accused to follow applicable procedures and guidelines known to the accused. All monies disbursed to Fairfield LLC in the existing reconstruction contract were done in accordance with the said contract, and that the said company fully acknowledged receipt of the same and expended the monies received in the manner specified, incurring extra and additional costs for unbudgeted and unforeseen situations as well. Other accounts 18, 20, 22, 24, 27, 29, 31, 33, 35, 37, 39, and 41, which charges misappropriation of public funds contrary to Section 36(1) of the Anti-Corruption Act as amended. Mr. Fofana submitted that the above counts are in view of the evidence led in court against the first accused and the analysis already provided in respect of the previous offenses amount to failure to comply with. He argued that the sum $1,669,549.45 United States dollars was acknowledged by Mr. Jules Sanders Davis as received by Fairfield Construction Associates. In fact, Mr. Davis had stated in his acknowledgement letter of the 21st of April 2021 that he was looking forward, quote unquote, to working with Ambassador Ali Kabah as permanent representative and bringing the Chancery project to a conclusion, which all parties involved can be proud of. Similarly, Mr. Jules Sanders Davis' witness statement tendered as Exhibit F1 to 36 is replete with admissions by him of receiving the monies meant for the Chancery project for and on behalf of his company, Fairfield LLC. He therefore submitted that both the actus reus of appropriation of the monies cited in the reference count charges above and the mens rea of dishonestly appropriating the same are entirely lacking, in the sense that no evidence was led to show that the first, the third, and the fifth accused took or received the said sums of monies themselves and misappropriated them for themselves to the exclusion of the state of Sierra Leone. He argued that the above counts, which I've just referred to, should accordingly be dismissed in their entirety. Counts 25, 42, and 46. These counts charges conspiracy to commit a corruption offense, contrary to Section 128 of the Anti-Corruption Act, as amended by Section 14 of the 2019 amendment. With respect to this count, he argues that the prosecution has not produced to the court any applicable procedures and guidelines so that it can determine or measure the level and extent of compliance with the said applicable procedures and guidelines. No witness of fact stated or specified the details that entail in them, if any, nor was any expert called to speak to the applicable procedures and guidelines that constitutes the corruption offense. He further argued that no evidence was led whatsoever that indicated or suggested that the third, the fifth, and the sixth accused persons were in respective conspiracies with the first accused. All the relevant and necessary procedures in managing the funds for the Chancery Building project and the project itself were followed, and no one was quite suspended or dismissed for failing to comply. The sixth accused, Mr. Jules Sanders Davis, was also not involved in tendering contracts with the first accused, considering that the change orders were not separate contracts in themselves, but were part and parcel of and were integral to the main Chancery Building contract. He suggested that this was why PW9 Ambassador Francis Kai sourced the additional funding from the People's Republic of China, a willing donor, so that more floors can be added to the initial four-story house. The evidence led by PW6, PW8, 9, 12, and 14 indicates that every step was followed through and approved by Capital, with regular reports being sent as well to Capital to keep the state fully updated and informed about the project. He argued that counts 25, 42, and 46 should fail accordingly on the basis that the said count charges were glaringly left to hang in thin, unsupportive air as their purported principal offenses generated by the prosecution for the count charges in fact cannot be found in any way, shape, or form. The defense waited, said, to identify the applicable procedures and guidelines, but found none, whilst the onus rested on the prosecution to produce these guidelines. With respect to count 43, that offense charges offense of abuse of office, contrary to Section 42(1) of the Anti-Corruption Act as amended. With respect to this count, he argues that it is central to the prosecution's case that the accused abuses his office by improperly conferring an advantage on the sixth accused, Mr. Jules Sanders Davis, even though the advantage is not specifically stated therein or identified. The first accused said will therefore rely on and adopt the arguments and submissions in respect of the previous counts and wholly denies the particular set out in the charge. Apart from the fact that no evidence was led by the prosecution to substantiate the allegation of abuse, the meager resources available to complete the project then. Both PW9 and PW12, who were senior career officials in the Foreign Affairs Ministry and at the Chancery Building in New York alluded to the hard work, enthusiasm, and integrity of the first accused. He argues that this count should therefore be dismissed as unsubstantiated and unmeritorious, as there's absolutely no evidence that the first accused ever tried to unlawfully confer an advantage on Mr. Joel Sanders Davis and or Fairfield. With respect to count 44, the offense of deceiving a principal is charged. A document that was to the detriment of the state as the principal, which the first accused is said to have intended to use to deceive the state. The arguments and submissions thus far made by the first accused to the effect that the state suffered nothing and instead, in fact, contributed to the delay in completing the Chancery building by not paying the outstanding sums of money required to finish the project. Both the first accused and the contractor nevertheless did all that they could to sustain the reconstruction works and keep the project afloat, even to their own detriment, inclusive of, he said, the first accused being suspended from work and going through this trial, which he considered to be unmeritorious. In conclusion, he submitted that the prosecution has, one, failed to prove essential elements in the alleged offenses, and secondly, the above analysis illustrates that the evidence led by the prosecution has been so discredited and is manifestly unreliable that no reasonable tribunal of fact and law in this case, the trial judge sitting as judge and jury emphasis mine could safely convict on it, and the first accused should therefore be accordingly discharged. I deal with the prosecution's response. Mr. Mansibo for the prosecution argued that the first accused has misconceived the applicable test to be applied to submissions of no case. He argued that with respect to the charges of failure to comply with applicable procedures and guidelines relating to the tendering of contracts, the gravamen of the charge is that the very contract that was used to facilitate the renovation of the Chancery building was not tendered in accordance with the said procedures and guidelines. He argued that the relevant legislation in question are the Public Procurement Act number 1 of 2016 and the Regulations on Public Procurement, first edition 2006, and that this court should determine whether the necessary evidence has been led in support of the averment in count 16, relating specifically to the first accused's failure to comply with applicable procedures and guidelines relating to the tendering of contracts. He argued that the evidence establishes that the first accused participated in the process relating to the eventual award of the contract to Fairfield Construction Associates, and he relied upon Exhibit AAH 1 to 2, which he said are minutes of meeting held by what was termed as the Extraordinary Building Renovation and Awards of Contract Committee, whose members, amongst others, included the first accused. And that meeting in question was held on the 19th of July 2011, slightly 6 years prior to the signing of the contract, which was exhibited as Exhibit U1 to 26. He submitted that it is clear from the minutes of that meeting that the first accused would have been apprised of the procedures that had to be followed with regard to the procurement of any construction services, as well as the awarding of contracts. There was specific reference to the Procurement Act as well as to the financial management regulations that would govern the administration of public funds. In Exhibit A 1 to 99 at pages 14 and 15, which is the first accused's statement to the Anti-Corruption Commission, he sought to deny his knowledge of the procurement method that was used to obtain the construction services for the renovation of the Chancery building. He referenced the responses of the first accused to questions put to him at question 12 and 13, which he categorized as important. Before the signing of the contract. On the 4th of January 2016, the sixth accused in his capacity as president of Fairfield Construction wrote to the first accused as counsellor detailing the work that needed to be done, the options available, and the respective cost of those options. The contractor had already been identified before any of the procedures and processes that are set out in the Public Procurement Act of 2016 and the regulations on public procurement, first edition of 2006, were in place. He argues that the original contract was not undertaken in compliance with procedures and guidelines relating to the tendering of contracts. As if this infraction was not sufficient, the major additions to the scope of the works were made without any pretense of following the related procedures, guidelines, and regulations. As head of Chancery, the first accused was at the forefront of all the arrangements that were made in relation to the financing and commencement of works under the change orders. In Exhibit A1 to 99 at pages 17 to 27, the first accused explains in great detail what was done under Change Order 3. The procedures and guidelines set out in Section B, clauses 144 to clauses 1. At Exhibit A1 to 99. And 145 of the public procurement regulations 2006 were followed. He added, $4,569,000 and the contractor admitting to not having the funds to take the project to substantial completion. At present, there is an open roof, no work done to add the 5th and the 6th floors, and substantial remediation work to be carried out on floors 1 to 4 owing to damage caused due to exposure to inclement weather. Mr. Mancebo submitted that the submissions of the first accused ought not to be counted. I'll deal with count 17, 19, 21, 23, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, and 40, which is charges an offense of failure to comply with applicable procedures and guidelines relating to the management of funds, contrary to Section 48(2)(b) of the Anti-Corruption Act as amended. With respect to these counts, the prosecution submitted in response to the notice submission that the first accused, being the vote controller, was principally responsible for the of the agreement and the participation and certification.
AYV is your home of credible, factual, and balanced news coverage. We pride ourselves as the nation's most trusted news source. Because of this, our brand is likely to be used to spread fake news. To verify our stories, please check our various social media pages, visit our website on www.ayvnews.com, or send us an email to info@ayvnews.com.
Sierra Leone decides when it breaks at the polling stations. We are your first and most reliable witnesses. We deliver a crisp and concise as usual.
With our modern broadcasting equipment, seamless coverage all around.
From all angles and perspectives on TV, radio, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
We'll serve you with nothing but unadulterated information. For sure, we are your trusted election of. We will give you a round-the-clock update and a precise look and picture of the election.
We will uncover and probe the business side of the polls.
Who's buying whose vote and why you should be concerned.
We will assemble all the experts shaping the conversation. Before, during, and after the elections,
We are ready. The task ahead, we are more than ready.
we are your home of all things credible, factual, and all times balanced. AYV,
AYV,
AYV, AYV,
AYV.
AYV.
AYV is your home of credible, factual, and balanced news coverage. We pride ourselves as the nation's most trusted news source. Because of this, our brand is likely to be used to spread fake news. To verify our stories, please check our various social media pages, visit our website on www.ayvnews.com, or send us an email to info@ayvnews.com.
Sierra Leone decides when it breaks at the polling stations, we are your first and most reliable witnesses. We deliver a crisp and concise as usual.
With our modern broadcasting equipment, seamless coverage all round.
From all angles and perspectives on TV, radio, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
We serve you with nothing but unadulterated information. For sure, we are your trusted election of. We will give you a round-the-clock update and a precise look and picture of the election.
We will uncover and probe the business side of the polls.
Who's buying whose vote and why you should be concerned.
We will assemble all the experts shaping the conversation. Before, during, and after the elections,
We are ready. The task ahead, we are more than ready.
we are your home of all things credible, factual, and all times balanced. AYV,
AYV, AYV,
AYV,
AYV.
AYV.
AYV is your home of credible, factual, and balanced news coverage. We pride ourselves as the nation's most trusted news source. Because of this, our brand is likely to be used to spread fake news. To verify our stories, please check our various social media pages, visit our website on www.ayvnews.com, or send us an email to info@ayvnews.com.
Sierra Leone decides when it breaks at the polling stations, we are your first and most reliable witnesses. We deliver a crisp and concise as usual.
With our modern broadcasting equipment, seamless coverage all round.
From all angles and perspectives on TV, radio, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
We serve you with nothing but unadulterated information. For sure, we are your trusted election of. We will give you a round-the-clock update and a precise look and picture of the election.
We will uncover and probe the business side of the polls.
Who's buying whose vote and why you should be concerned.
We will assemble all the experts shaping the conversation. Before, during, and after the election,
We are ready. The task ahead, we are more than ready.
we are your home of all things credible, factual, and all time balanced. AYV,
AYV, AYV,
AYV,
AYV.
Oh yo, we country slow. We want for no. Why not they
AYV is your home of credible, factual, and balanced news coverage. We pride ourselves as the nation's most trusted news source. Because of this, our brand is likely to be used to spread fake news. To verify our stories, please check our various social media pages, visit our website on www.ayvnews.com, or send us an email to info@ayvnews.com.
do ya not make us slow? No, no. If I dey try for raise the tempo,
When it's
do ya not make am low?
we are your first and most
Yes, so.
reliable witness.
If I dey try for go before, I beg go.
With our
Do ya
modern
not make us slow?
seamless coverage
No, no.
all round.
From all
If I dey
angles
try
and
for raise
perspectives,
the
on
tempo,
TV, radio, Facebook, Twitter,
do ya not
Instagram,
make am
TikTok,
low?
and YouTube.
Yes, so. Before they do them thing then, thing now we go make me gladdy, thing now we go make we happy, thing now we go make the country laddie daddy. So we go live in unity. Yes, so. Before they do them thing then, thing now we go make me gladdy, thing now we go make we happy, thing now we go make we country laddie daddy. So we go live in harmony.
Before,
Yes, so.
during, and after the election.
Don't before do them thing then. Thing that we go make me smarter. Thing that we go make me stronger. Thing that we go make the nation last much longer. So we life them go better. Yes, so. But we for let them thing there. Thing that we go make me scatter. Thing that we go bring palava. Thing that we go make the nation well Panambara. Make we people scatter.
AYV is your home of credible, factual, and
Then like half
balanced
past
news
never
coverage.
blabber.
We pride
Political
ourselves as the
party
nation's
wahala.
most trusted news
Think them
source.
we go make
Because
we
of
agba.
this,
Them
our
put
brand
the
is likely
country
to be
pan
used to
yakba.
spread
Sing
fake
along,
news. To
say,
verify our
hey,
stories, please check our various social media pages. Visit our website at www.ayvnews.com or send us an email to
Yes, so,
info@ayvnews.com.
oh, I can for sure. Yes, I can for sure them thing them. Thing them way they make we know they grow. Say now we did that, yes, so make we show them thing them. Thing them we go make we kick for. Thing them we go make we country go before. Mama, yes, so. Thing them we go make we grow. Thing them we go make we left for go slow. Make baby gladdy for Bobo show. Alright, so. So if I dey perform, me on perform. You say for gladdy for watch you watch. If I dey sing, me young sing. You say for gladdy for dance you dance. Before they do them thing then, thing now we go make we gladdy, thing now we go make we happy, thing now we go make we country laddie daddy. So we go live in unity. Yes, so. Before they do them thing then, thing now we go make we gladdy, thing now we go make we happy, thing now we go make we country laddie daddy. So we go live in harmony. Yes, so sing along, say hey, hey, bo, bo, one for no, one for no. Wait make we country they go slow, wait make we know they grow. Yes, so oh, I can for sure. Yes, I can for sure that thing there. See them way they make we know they grow. Say now we they like pampo.
We the friend, but still things haven't changed. How we go before when we still get evil ways. Let we try to change your ways and let we love afraid. And love one another.
If I do me thing then, you step go try do thing then. Make we all do thing then. Saloma, husband thing then. If I let you thing then, you step go let me thing then. Make we all let we thing then. Saloma, husband thing then. Before they do them thing then, thing now we go make we gladdy, thing now we go make we happy, thing now we go make we country laddie daddy. So we go live in harmony. Yes, so sing along, say, hey, do them thing then. Thing now we go make we gladdy, thing now we go make we happy, thing now we go make we country laddie daddy. So we go live in harmony. Yes, so.
AYV is your home of credible, factual, and balanced news coverage. We pride ourselves as the nation's most trusted news source. Because of this, our brand is likely to be used to spread fake news.
There is evidence upon which I could properly come to the conclusion that the first accused is guilty of one or all of the offenses charged. I am duty-bound to allow the case to proceed to be tried on the evidence, thereby requiring the first accused to put a defense to the charges he faces. I consider that in accordance with the decision in Goddard 2012 England and Wales Court of Appeal, Criminal 1756, that taking the prosecution's case at its highest and having properly directed myself, I could be entitled on one view of the evidence to reach an adverse inference.
AYV is your home of credible, factual, and balanced news coverage. We pride ourselves as the nation's most trusted news source. Because of this, our brand is likely to be used to spread fake news. To verify our stories, please check our various social media pages, visit our website on www.ayvnews.com, or send us an email to info@ayvnews.com.
Sierra Leone decides when it breaks at the polling stations. We are your first and most reliable witnesses. We deliver a crisp and concise as usual.
With our modern broadcasting equipment, seamless coverage all around.
From all angles and perspectives on TV, radio, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
We serve you with nothing but unadulterated information. For sure, we are your trusted election op. We will give you a round-the-clock update and a precise look and picture of the election.
We will uncover and probe the business side of the poll.
Who's buying whose vote and why you should be concerned.
We will assemble all shaping the conversation. Before, during, and after the election,
We are ready. The fact that we are more than ready.
we are your home for all things credible, factual, and all-time balance.
A1.
For you, we country slow. We want for no. Why not they grow? Yeah, we want for no.
AYV is your home of credible, factual, and balanced news coverage. We pride ourselves as the nation's most trusted news source. Because of this, our brand is likely to be used to spread fake news. To verify our stories, please check our various social media pages, visit our website at www.ayvnews.com, or send us an email to info@ayvnews.com.
If I try for raise the tempo, do ya not make them low? Yes, so
when it breaks
if I try for go before,
are your first
I
and
beg
most
go.
reliable
Do ya not make us
deliver
slow?
a crisp and concise
No, no.
as usual.
With our modern
If I try for raise the tempo,
seamless coverage all
do
around.
ya not make them
Angles
low?
and perspective on TV, radio,
Yes, so
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
before they do them thing then, thing now we go make we gladdy, thing now we go make we happy, thing now we go make we country laddie daddy. So we go live in unity.
We will give you a round
Yes, so
and a precise look
before they do them thing then, thing now we go make we gladdy, thing now we go make we happy, thing now we go.
of the polls.
who's buying whose vote and why you should be concerned.
We will assemble all the experts shaping the conversation. Before, during, and after the election,
We are ready. The tax ahead, we are more than ready.
We are your home of all things credible, factual, and all-time balance. AYD,
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 AYD.
AYD.
AYV is your home of credible, factual, and balanced news coverage. We pride ourselves as the nation's most trusted news source. Because of this, our brand is likely to be used to spread fake news. To verify our stories, please check our various social media pages, visit our website on www.ayvnews.com, or send us an email to info@ayvnews.com.
Reporting from Bokenama Highway, I am George Philip Jambawai, and this is AYP.
Sierra Leone decides when it breaks at the polling stations, we are your first and most reliable witnesses. We deliver a crisp and concise as usual.
With our modern broadcasting equipment, seamless coverage all around.
From all angles and perspectives on TV, radio, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
We serve you with nothing but unadulterated information. For sure, we are your trusted election of. We will give you a round-the-clock update and a precise look and picture of the election.
We will uncover and probe the business side of the polls.
Who's buying whose vote, and why you should be concerned.
We will assemble all the experts shaping the conversation. Before, during, and after the elections,
We are ready. The tax ahead, we are more than ready.
we are your home of all things credible, factual, and all times balanced. AYD,
AYD,
AYD, AYD,
AYD.
AYD.
Reporting from the mouth of the Atlantic, Kisi Ferry Terminal. I am Marina Terry, and this is AYV.
AYV is your home of credible, factual, and balanced news coverage. We pride ourselves as the nation's most trusted news source. Because of this, our brand is likely to be used to spread fake news. To verify our stories, please check our various social media pages, visit our website on www.ayvnews.com, or send us an email to info@ayvnews.com.
from the natural springs of River Bankasuka in Butloko, north of Sierra Leone. I am Abasise, and this is AYV.
Sierra Leone decides when it breaks at the polling stations, we are your first and most reliable witnesses. We deliver a crisp and concise as usual.
With our modern broadcasting equipment, seamless coverage all around.
From all angles and perspectives on TV, radio, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
We serve you with nothing but unadulterated information. For sure, we are your trusted election of. We will give you a round-the-clock update and a precise look and picture of the election.
We will uncover and probe the business side of the polls.
Who's buying whose vote and why you should be concerned.
We will assemble all the experts shaping the conversation. Before, during, and after the elections,
we are ready. The tax ahead, we are more than ready.
We are your home of all things credible, factual, and all times balanced.
AYV.
AYV. AYV.
AYV.
AYV.
AYV.
Live from the Freetown International Airport, I am Samura Kamara'S, and this is AYV.
AYV is your home of credible, factual, and balanced news coverage. We pride ourselves as the nation's most trusted news source. Because of this, our brand is likely to be used to spread fake news. To verify our stories, please check our various social media pages, visit our website on www.ayvnews.com, or send us an email to info@ayvnews.com.
Sierra Leone decides when it breaks at the polling stations, we are your first and most reliable witnesses. We deliver a crisp and concise as usual.
With our modern broadcasting equipment, seamless coverage all around.
From all angles and perspectives on TV, radio, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
We serve you with nothing but unadulterated information. For sure, we are your trusted election of. We will give you a round-the-clock update and a precise look and picture of the election.
We will uncover and probe the business side of the polls.
Who's buying whose vote and why you should be concerned.
We will assemble all the experts shaping the conversation. Before, during, and after the election,
we are ready. The tax ahead, we are more than ready.
We are your home of all things credible, factual, and all times balanced.
AYV.
AYV. AYV.
AYV.
AYV.
AYV.
Live from the Freetown International Airport, I am Samura Kamara'S, and this is AYV.
Reporting from Bokelema Highway, I am George Philip Jambawai, and this is AYV.
AYV is your home of credible, factual, and balanced news coverage. We pride ourselves as the nation's most trusted news source. Because of this, our brand is likely to be used to spread fake news. To verify our stories, please check our various social media pages, visit our website on www.ayvnews.com, or send us an email to info@ayvnews.com.
Reporting from the mouth of the Atlantic, Kisi Ferry Terminal. I am Marina Terry, and this is AYV.
From the natural springs of River Bankasoka in Komon-Tok, north of Sierra Leone, I am Abbas, and this is AYV.
Sierra Leone decides when it breaks at the polling stations, we are your first and most reliable witnesses. We deliver a crisp and concise as usual.
With our modern broadcasting equipment, seamless coverage all around.
From all angles and perspectives on TV, radio, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
We serve you with nothing but unadulterated information. For sure, we are your trusted election of. We will give you a round-the-clock update and a precise look and picture of the election.
We will uncover and probe the business side of the polls.
Who's buying whose vote, and why you should be concerned.
We will assemble all the experts shaping the conversation. Before, during, and after the elections,
we are ready. The tax ahead, we are more than ready.
We are your home of all things credible, factual, and all times balanced.
AYV.
AYV.
AYV. AYV.
AYV.
AYV.
Credible, factual, and balanced news coverage. We pride ourselves as the nation's most trusted news source. Because of this, our brand is likely to be used to spread fake news. To verify our stories, please check our various social media pages, visit our website on www.ayvnews.com, or send us an email to info@ayvnews.com.
Say now we dey die pam. If I dey try for go before, I beg go. Do ya not make us slow? No, no. If I dey try for raise the tempo, do ya not make am low? Yes, so. If I dey try for go before, I beg go. Do ya not make us slow? No, no. If I dey try for raise the tempo, do ya not make am low? Yes, so. Before they do them thing now we go make we gladdy, thing now we go make we happy, thing now we go make we country laddie daddy. So we go live in unity. Yes, so. Before they do them thing now we go make we gladdy, thing now we go make we happy, thing now we go make we country laddie daddy. So we go live in harmony. Yes, so. Don't we for do them thing now we go make we smarter, thing now we go make we stronger, thing now we go make we nation last much longer.
concern.
we life them go
With our
better.
modern broadcasting equipment,
Yes, so.
seamless coverage,
But we for
all
left
that,
them
from
thing there.
top
Thing them we go make we scatter. Thing them we go bring palava. Thing them we go make we nation well Panambara. Make we people scatter.
Continue you talk boss. Already.
Thing them like half flavor plaba. Political party wahala. Thing them we go make we agba. Them put we country pan yakba. Sing along say hey bo bo. One for no. One for no. Wetin make we country they go slow. Wetin make it all they grow. Yes, so oh, I can for sure. Yes, I can for sure them thing them. Then way they make we know they grow. Say now we did that. Yes, so make we show them thing them. Thing them we go make we kick po. Thing them we go make we country go before. Mama, yes, so thing them we go make we grow. Thing them we go make we left for go slow. Make baby gladdy for Bobo show. Alright, so if I dey perform, me on perform. You say for gladdy for watch you watch. If I dey sing, me on sing. You say for gladdy for dance you dance. Before they do them thing now we go make we gladdy. Thing now we go make we happy. Thing now we go make we country laddie daddy. So we go live in unity. Yes, so. Before they do them thing now we go make we gladdy. Thing now we go make we happy. Thing now we go make we country laddie daddy. So we go live in harmony. Yes, so sing along, say hey, hey, bo, bo. One for no, one for no. Wetin make we country they go slow. Wetin make it all they grow. Yes, so oh, I can for sure. Yes, I can for sure them thing them way they make we know they grow. Say now we they die pampo.
We the pray, but still things never change. How we go before when we still get evil ways. Let we try to change your ways and let we love afraid. And love one another.
If I do me thing then, you self go try do thing then. Make we all do thing then. Salon prosper thing then. If I let you thing then, you self go let me thing then. Make we all let we thing then. Salon prosper thing then. Before they do them thing then, thing now we go make we gladdy. Thing now we go make we happy. Thing now we go make we country laddie daddy. So we go live in harmony. Yes, so sing along, say hey. Before they do them thing then now we go make we gladdy. Thing now we go make we happy. Thing now we go make we country laddie daddy. So we go live in harmony. Yes, so sing along, say hey.
Intent to mislead, presumably the government of Sierra Leone. No evidence whatsoever was led to that effect. Counsel referred the court to Exhibit D1 to 58, which was the statement obtained by the Anti-Corruption Commission from the fourth accused over several days. In their said statement, the fourth accused categorically refuted the allegation of misleading the principal. Counsel rhetorically asked the question, what is the evidence before the court? And with respect to that question, they rely upon Exhibit D1 to 58, in which the fourth accused totally denied the accusation of misleading the government of Sierra Leone. Counsel also referred the court to Exhibit AC 1 to 5, which is the cabinet paper dated the 18th of April 2016, and Exhibit AD 1 to 2, which is the minute paper dated the 18th of April 2016, neither of which, they argued, was authored by the fourth accused. This, they argued, was confirmed by the testimony of PW3 Mrs. Sonia Kaim, who testified in court that Exhibit AC 1 to 5, the cabinet paper dated 18th of April 2016, was prepared by the Cabinet Secretariat in conjunction with the Directorate of Foreign Affairs on International Cooperation without any participation by the fourth accused. Following from that, Mr. John Sumaila, PW4, the Cabinet Secretary and head of the Civil Service, testified that the fourth accused was not present in Cabinet, did not present or participate when the matter of Exhibit AC 1 to 5 was discussed. Some technical glitch, power failure. I'll take out from the laptop.
AYV is your home of credible, factual, and balanced news coverage. We pride ourselves as the nation's most trusted news source. Because of this, our brand is likely to be used to spread fake news. To verify our stories, please check our various social media pages, visit our website on www.ayvnews.com, or send us an email to info@ayvnews.com.
Sincerely on the sides, when it breaks at the polling stations, we are your first and most reliable witnesses. We deliver a crisp and concise as usual.
With our modern broadcasting equipment, seamless coverage all round.
From all angles and perspectives on TV, radio, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
We serve you with nothing but unadulterated information. For sure, we are your trusted election op. We will give you a round-the-clock update and a precise look and picture of the election.
We will uncover and probe the business side of the polls.
Who's buying whose vote and why you should be concerned.
We will assemble all the experts shaping the conversation. Before, during, and after the elections,
we are ready. The tax ahead, we are more than ready.
We are your home of all things credible, factual, and all times balanced.
AYV,
AYV,
AYV, AYV,
AYV,
AYV.
Live from the Freetown International Airport, I am Samura Kamara'S, and this is AYV.
Reporting from Bokenema Highway, I am George Philip Jambawai, and this is AYV.
AYV is your home of credible, factual, and balanced news coverage. We pride ourselves as the nation's most trusted news source. Because of this, our brand is likely to be used to spread fake news. To verify our stories, please check our various social media pages, visit our website on www.ayvnews.com, or send us an email to info@ayvnews.com.
Reporting from the mouth of the Atlantic, Kisi Ferry Terminal. I am Marina Terry, and this is AYV.
From the natural springs of River Bankasoka in Komon-Tok, north of Sierra Leone, I am Abbas, and this is AYV.
Sierra Leone decides when it breaks at the polling stations, we are your first and most reliable witnesses. We deliver a crisp and concise as usual.
With our modern broadcasting equipment, seamless coverage all round.
From all angles and perspectives on TV, radio, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
We serve you with nothing but unadulterated information. For sure, we are your trusted election op. We will give you a round-the-clock update and a precise look and picture of the election.
We will uncover and probe the business side of the polls.
Who's buying whose vote and why you should be concerned.
We will assemble all the experts shaping the conversation. Before, during, and after the elections,
we are ready. The tax ahead, we are more than ready.
We are your home of all things credible, factual, and all times balanced.
AYV,
AYV,
AYV, AYV,
AYV,
AYV.
AYV is your home of credible, factual, and balanced news coverage. We pride ourselves as the nation's most trusted news source. Because of this, our brand is likely to be used to spread fake news. To verify our stories, please check our various social media pages, visit our website on www.ayvnews.com, or send us an email to info@ayvnews.com.
country slow. We want for no, why not they grow? Yeah, hey, bo, we want for no, Waiting make we country they go slow. Waiting making all they grow. Yes, so I can for sure. Yes, I can for sure them thing them way they make we know they grow. Say now we they die pampo. If I they try for go before, I beg bo, do ya not make us slow? No. If I they try for raise the tempo, do ya not make am low? Yes, so if I they try for go before, I beg bo, do ya not make us slow? No. If I try for raise the tempo, do ya not make am low? Yes, so before they do them thing now we go make we gladdy, thing now we go make we happy, thing now we go make we country laddie daddy. So we go live in unity. Yes, so before they do them thing now we go make we gladdy, thing now we go make we happy, thing now we go make we country laddie daddy. So we go live in harmony. Yes, so don't we for do them thing now we go make we smarter, thing now we go make we stronger, thing now we go make we nation last much longer. So we life them go better. Yes, so but we for left them thing now we go make we scatter, thing now we go bring palaver.
That the judge who is presiding over this case was not around. He has just arrived. Shortly, he is preparing to come. Shortly, the judge will come.
We are getting the announcement, which clearly means there is going to be his ruling, is delivering his judgment. But I want to ask, is this happening because of the profile of the individual? Dr. Samura Kamara, like you mentioned, is the standard bearer, he's the leader of the main opposition. Is the judiciary doing this because of his profile, his position in society?
We cannot preclude that, but we've set that standard, and we don't want that credibility, that trust to diminish. So we want to uphold that standard, want to maintain the status quo as it is, to making sure you don't necessarily need to come to court. You just need to have your Android phone, sit wherever you are, either in your bed, parlor, or whatsoever, and follow what obtains in court. We want to maintain that standard. We want to enhance, because what we've noticed is that transparency builds trust. Accountability will inspire confidence in the entire process. So that's why we
is the judiciary under pressure? Very recently, we saw issues about the international community meeting with the Chief Justice about a certain matter that involves the main opposition, APC, and now we are seeing the flag bearer coming to court today, a matter that started in 2021, and you are opening up the judiciary to the media to broadcast. Are you under pressure?
No. The judiciary, we cannot in any way surrender our independence to the whims and caprices of international pressure. We are an independent arm of government by provision of Section 120, subsection 3. It states that we are only answerable to laws legislated by Parliament and the Sierra Leone Constitution. In fact, the one I want to dismiss, thankfully, most of those meetings with the international community, international partners, I have been in attendance. For instance, when we went to the U.S. Embassy, I was in attendance. When the UN resident representative came here, I was here. I was in attendance. The EU, I was also in attendance. What the reason for their visit, or the reason for those meetings, they came to ask our preparedness, to tell them how readily prepared the judiciary is, where there is funding gap, where we think there are challenges, where necessary they can come on board. And we did not hide it. The Chief Justice has been so bold to tell them that yes, we want justice everywhere in the world. Is expensive, but we have limited financial support. We need money. We need money now. One of the things we want to do is to deploy judges across the country, and because we have what we call the electoral court. We now have an electoral court for these elections. So this electoral court, it requires us to deploy judges everywhere, and most of our judges are without vehicle, and we need magistrates. 34 of our magistrates are without vehicle.
Okay, Elkas will end it there. The judge is already here. Honorable Justice Edian Fisher has taken his seat, as you can see down there. He's already seated, and he'll be delivering his judgment pretty soon. So we are broadcasting live from the main law court building here on Shaka Stephen Street, Bademba Road. So we'll now join the other camera to connect with the judge, who pretty soon, I believe, will be delivering his judgment. Thank you for watching, and continue to watch the while.
Adikali for the Suma, for the Vafumba Bawo, Samura Matthew Wilson Kamara, Kande Fode Basil Kamara, and Julius Sanders Davis.
Yes, good morning. Representations, please.
For the prosecution, CT Mansebo, and with me, OV Robin Manson, Kenneth Conte, and E.K. Amara.
Yes, thank you very much. First accused. Thank you very much. Second accused.
Second accused. Ibrahim Sori. Ibrahim Sori, Africano Sori Sise. Brahima Kuroma. And Jerilyn Manley, Spain.
Thank you very much. Third accused. Fourth.
Good morning, my lord. For the fourth accused, Franklin Baikabo, Ambassador Amadou A. Koroma, Melon C. Nicole Wilson, Musa Nu Kamara, Suleiman Kaba Koroma, Africanos Sise, our own Adi Macaulay, Brahima Koroma, Radcliffe Jones, Roland Nylander, Jerilyn Manley Spain, E.B. Touré, A. Boise Kamara.
Right, where's Mr. Touré? I can't say it. No, it's not seen. Yes.
I.A. Kamara, A. Boise Kamara, M. Berete, Festus Robin Taylor, Adama Amara, and S. Ba.
Mr. Nicole Wilson, is there going to be space on the ruling to incorporate all of those names?
We hope so, my lord.
Yes, I know Mr. Kamara will say there are more coming. All right, where's Teddy Koma? Yes. Yes, indeed. Okay, sit down, gentlemen. Yes, thank you. Right, I have to say, counsel, there's going to be a lengthy ruling. It goes into some 100 pages. So it will take some time to deliberate. Okay? All right. This ruling concerns the no-case submissions raised by the accused persons at the close of the prosecution's case in this trial. When the matter came up for hearing, City Mancibo for the state informed the court that the prosecution wished to close its case, but was concerned that there might be a need to reopen the case subsequent to the locus in co visit which the court was proposing to make to the scene in New York. It therefore considered it prudent to defer the closing of the prosecution's case pending the locus visit. Counsel for the defense were of the view that it was appropriate for the prosecution to close its case to enable them to determine how to put their defense. All counsel were of the view that necessary. With these assurances, Mr. Mancibo decided to close the prosecution's case after an amendment to the indictment was granted. The accused persons, save for the sixth accused, subsequently pleaded not guilty to the amended indictment, and at this stage, the prosecution closed its case. When the matter accused persons informed the court that they intended to make no-case submissions on behalf of the accused persons, which would be in writing. Directions were issued for the no-case submission on behalf of the accused to be submitted to the court in writing by the 31st of December 2022, and for counsel for the state to file a response by the 15th day of January 2023. There was non-compliance on all sides with these directions owing to the late submissions, in particular with respect to the fifth accused, which meant that the prosecution could only file a response on the 8th of February 2023. Notwithstanding, I subsequently received the no-case submissions file on behalf of the accused and the replies thereto by the prosecution. On a point of principle and law, it must be pointed out at this stage that this ruling is not intended nor is it indicative of the guilt or innocence of any of the accused persons. It is merely determinative of the submissions made by the prosecution are sufficient to amount to a prima facie case against the accused persons, thus requiring them to be put that at the end of the case, the prosecution is unable to discharge the burden of proof. For the purposes of these submissions have been assessed to the lower standard of proof, which is the sufficiency of evidence test. Contrary to the submissions of defense counsel, the beyond the reasonable doubt test is only utilized in the determination of guilt or innocence. And to that extent, I have not utilized that test. These submissions are a culmination of a very long trial in which the prosecution led 18 witnesses, which were extensively cross-examined by counsel for the accused persons, in particular, the first and the fourth accused persons, as is their right to do so. I deal with no-case submissions. In criminal cases, whenever an accused raises the issue of a no-case submission at the end of the prosecution's case, it is the duty of the trial judge to determine whether to uphold the no-case submission or, in the alternative, whether to dismiss it. The applicable test is that set out by the courts in the case of R.V. Galbraith, 1981, One Weekly Law Report 1039 at 1042C. And the test as set out in Galbraith can be encapsulated as follows. 1. If there is no evidence that the crime alleged has been committed by the defendant, there's no difficulty. The judge will stop the case. The difficulty arises where there is some evidence, but it is of a tenuous character, for example, because of with other evidence. Evidence taken at its highest is such that a jury properly directed could not properly convict on it. It is his duty on a no-case submission being made to stop the case. Where, however, the prosecution evidence is such that its strength or weakness depends on the view to be taken of a witness's reliability or other matters which are generally speaking within the province of the jury, and where on one possible view of the facts, there's evidence on which the jury can properly come to the conclusion that the defendant is guilty, then the judge should allow the matter to be tried by the jury, as per Lord Lane, Chief Justice, at page 127. In simple terms, the Galbraith test means that there are two separate lanes for the defense to consider when making a submission of no answer. Limb 1, there is no evidence upon which the jury could convict. Or limb 2, there is some evidence, but it is so poor that it would be unsafe to leave it to the jury. Conclusion that the defendant is guilty, then the judge should allow the matter to be tried by the jury. Or as in this case, the tribunal of fact. Having set out the applicable test and the approach to consideration of a no-case submission, I shall now proceed to consider the submissions advanced on behalf of the accused persons, starting with the first accused and the responses thereto. The first accused is charged with 30 count offenses contrary to the anti-corruption Act 2019 in count 16. Failure to comply with the applicable procedures and guidelines relating to the management of funds, contrary to section 48(2)(b) of the Anti-Corruption Act number 12 as amended by the 2019 Act as contained in count 17, 19, 21, 23, 26, 28, 30, 32, 9 and 41. 4. Conspiracy to commit a corruption offense contrary to Section 128 of the Anti-Corruption Act number 12 of 2008 as amended, as contained in counts 25, 42, and 46 accordingly. 5. Abuse of office contrary contrary to Section 43 of the Anti-Corruption Act number 12 as amended and as contained in count 44. The prosecution called 18 witnesses against the accused persons, and I shall carefully consider the submissions made by Mr. MP Fofana of Counsel on behalf of the accused on a count-by-count basis. Count 16. With respect to count 16, Mr. Fofana submitted as follows: that the first accused did not tender or award any contract at all to Fairfield Construction Associates Limited, inclusive of awarding a contract for additional works to them. The first accused met, dealt with, and operated within an existing valid contract dated the 9th of December 2016, which was lawfully executed between the government of Sierra Leone, represented by the then Sierra Leone Permanent Mission to the United Nations in New York as owner, and Fairfield Construction Associates LLC, represented by Mr. Jules Sanders Davis as president and managing member as contractor, and he therefore relied upon Exhibit U. The said contract specifies at Article 16, paragraph 16 on pages 17 to 18, how changes can be made to the basic character, design, or scope of the project, and so forth, leading to what it described as change orders. 2, that the first accused never tendered or awarded any contract for additional works to Fairfield Construction Associates, nor did the latter complain about the first accused attempting to do so under the existing contract. Besides, the existing contract makes provision for events of default, quote unquote, in the agreement, and for its termination or suspension by